Chapter 7 of Sketches. I peeled back the little opening on the plastic coffee lid and took a sip. It was hot and it tasted really good. I took another sip, bigger one this time. I was never allowed coffee at home. My mother thought I was too young to drink it. Funny how you can be too young for something, but old enough for something else altogether. Good coffee, huh? Brent said. The first cup in the morning is always the best, I told him. Ashley nodded her head. Donut? Brent asked, offering me the bag. Thanks. Definitely, Ashley agreed. I reached into the bag and picked out a double chocolate. Donuts and coffee, our version of the elegant breakfast buffet, even if we were sitting on the curb outside our squat. I stretched, trying to work out some of the kinks on my back. When I woke up in the morning, I was usually so stiff that I felt like an old woman. Sleeping on the ground, or a desk, or a concrete floor didn't ever make for a good night's sleep. Being on the streets meant always being sore, or hungry, or tired, or sometimes all three at once. So what's up for today? Ashley asked. I figured we'd hang, see some people, kick around. You know, the usual, Brent answered. What about making some money? I asked. Taken care of, he said. It is? Ashley asked. What did you think I was doing when I was on my own yesterday? Brent asked. I can think of a lot of things you could have been doing, Ashley replied. It wasn't unusual for Brent to go off by himself. Sometimes he'd be gone for 20 minutes, sometimes hours and hours. He'd get in a mood like he was restless, irritated, or maybe like he had something better to do, someplace more important to be. If he hadn't felt so responsible for me and Ashley, he probably would have been gone more often. One thing we could count on, he never left us overnight. What I was doing was taking care of us. I got everything we need for today. Everything except water. Water? I asked. He nodded. You can't squeegee without... Wait, no way, I'm not doing it, Ashley snapped. Doing what? I asked. I won't be a squeegee kid, Ashley said. You've seen kids standing on the street cleaning windshields, haven't you? Yeah, of course, I said. And did it look like a lot of fun to you? She asked. It isn't supposed to be fun. It's a good way to earn money, Brent said patiently. Besides, I've already got the pail and the squeegees. Brent took the pack off his back, set it down, and opened it up. He produced 3 squeegees, the metal and rubber things used at a gas station to clean off your windshield. You bought those yesterday? I asked. Bought? Brent asked, sounding shocked. You are such a kidder. Nobody says anything about buying. I said I got them yesterday. I don't care whether you made them with your own hands, Ashley said. I don't want to do it. We have to do something if we want to eat today, Brent replied. Then let's just panhandle. But we can get more money by doing this, Brent said, holding up one of the squeegees. And we can get more hassles that way as well, Ashley said empathetically. Sure, there could be some hassles, but... It's nothing but hassles, Ashley shouted, cutting him off. And because you don't want to do it, then we don't do it. Is that what you're saying? Brent demanded. Does that seem fair? Is it fair that we do it just because you want to? She demanded. How about if we vote? He proposed. Fine with me. They both turned to me. I hated it when they did this. No matter which way I went, it was guaranteed that somebody would be mad at me. You should never put somebody in the middle like that. It made me think of the last days before my parents finally separated. When it happened, I was almost grateful. At least nobody was yelling at anyone anymore. Little did I know what would happen after that. It would make me wish my parents had never split up. Well, Ashley asked me, what do you want to do? I don't really know. Don't be a wimp, Brent said. Yes or no? Yeah, make a decision. How can I make a decision when I don't even really understand what you two are arguing about? Come on, Dana. You can't really tell me you never saw kids cleaning windshields at street corners. I've seen it, I admitted. It was hard to miss if you hung around downtown at all. I even remembered the first time I saw it happen. I couldn't have been more than 7 or 8. I was with my mother, and we were heading downtown to meet my father for lunch. I was in the back seat, and my sister was in her car seat beside me, and we stopped for a red light. These kids came running towards the car. My mother hit the door lock button and told me not to be scared. I hadn't, even though I hadn't even thought about being scared until she told me not to. Then I was. These kids surrounded the car and started cleaning all the windows. One of the kids, a girl, smiled and waved at me through the window, but I was too afraid to wave back. Then, just before the light changed, my mother opened the window just a crack and handed them $1, and we drove away. So what is it that you don't understand? Brent asked. You walk out into the street when the cars stop and ask if they want their windshields washed. If they don't, you don't. If they do, you do. There's nothing more to it. Nothing more except for getting run over. Come on, Ash, no one's going to run you down, Brent argued. I've heard of people getting brushed by cars as they sped away. And how about that guy, what's his name? Kevin, I think, who got brained by the side mirror of that truck? His brain was scrambled before he got hit by the mirror, Brent said. In fact, that's probably why he got hit. It won't happen if you're careful. Well, what about the cops then? She said. Isn't it illegal to squeegee? It's not illegal to squeegee. It's illegal to be on the road, Brent corrected her. Well, unless people start driving on the sidewalk, that's the only place where you can squeegee, Ashley said. It's just a ticket if they catch you, and most of the time they don't even want to catch you, Brent said. They just chase you away, that's all. Has either of you ever gotten a ticket? I asked. They both shook their heads. Has either of you ever been hit or brushed by a car? Not me, Brent said. I was almost hit once, Ashley said. Almost doesn't count. So are we going to do it? Brent asked. You said the money was better, right? I was thinking about another night in a motel room, and we needed money for that. It can be very good, Brent said. Ashley, can we earn more doing this than panhandling? She reluctantly nodded her head. Then let's try it for a bit, okay? Ashley didn't answer right away. Then she muttered, I don't like it, but I'll do it. All right, so let's get to it, Brent said. First, we have to find a good corner. How about this one? I asked. I was thinking of going down closer to the lake. What's wrong with here? I was pretty sure I'd actually seen squeegee kids on this street before. Yeah, let's just stay here, Ashley said. It's bad enough having to do this without having to go on a major hike first. Brent looked around hesitantly. I guess this would be okay. He got up and walked around the back of the building we'd just slept in, and when he came back, he was carrying a pail. He must have stashed it somewhere out there the night before. He offered it to me. Get this filled with water. Water? Where do I get water from? I asked. One of those stores. Just go in and ask, Brent said. Why me? Think about it, Brent said. Who are they more likely to help, me or you? He's got a point there, Ashley agreed. Maybe you should come with me then, I said to Ashley. She shrugged. Why not? Try the donut shop first, Brent suggested, handing me the bucket and dropping the 3 squeegees into it. Ashley and I made our way over to the donut shop and walked in. There was a lineup at the counter, and most of the tables were occupied. Let's just go to the washroom and fill up the... Get out of here! A man, balding and wearing a dirty white apron, came stomping towards us. He looked angry, his eyes blazing, a scowl on his face. I started for the door to leave. We just wanted to use the washroom, Ashley said, standing her ground. Washrooms only for customers, he screamed. We are customers, Ashley said, holding up her coffee cup with the store's name emblazoned across it. You not customers, you filthy squeegee kids. Get out of my store. Come on, we just want to... Out, 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 he screamed, lurching towards us in a threatening manner. I backed away farther, but Ashley wouldn't budge. Stavros, you stop. A woman charged across the shop and parked herself right between the man and Ashley. The two of them, hands flying in the air, began yelling at each other in a language I didn't understand. This was our chance to get away. I grabbed Ashley by the arm and tugged. She shook her head and stayed put. Finally, the man scowled and walked away. The woman turned around to face us. Ignore my husband. You girls need water to do squeegee? She asked. Yeah. Yes, please, I said. Come, she said. She led us away from the washrooms and behind the counter, and we followed. The man eyed us walking by and muttered something under his breath. I was grateful I couldn't understand what he was saying. The woman led us through a set of swinging doors into the back room. Give bucket, she said, taking it from Ashley. She put it into a set of big double sinks and turned on the hot water, then grabbed a bottle of dishwashing liquid and squirted it in. Make better clean, she said. How old you girls? We're 16, Ashley told her. No, look 16, especially her, she said, pointing at me. We are, though, Ashley replied. You like to do squeegee on cars? She asked. Not really, but we have to earn a living, Ashley said. Get job to earn living. It's not that easy to get a job, I said. You can have job here, clean up back, wash cups, help make donuts. But what about your husband? Ashley asked. He doesn't even want us in the store. Half my store. You work in my half. You'd give us a job? I asked, amazed. She shrugged. Why not? Get clean clothes before you work. Pay not great, minimum, and place gets hot, but we treat people good. Your husband would treat us good? Ashley asked. He has big mouth, but bigger heart. The water was overflowing the bucket, and she reached over and turned off the tap. She picked up the bucket and pulled it out of the sink, water sloshing over the sides, and handing it to Ashley. She strained under the weight. Thanks for the water, I said. You girls maybe want job? She asked. Let us think about it, Ashley replied. Good. Think. Better to have job inside than on streets, she said. We better get going. Ashley started to walk away, but I hesitated. Thanks for the water and for the job offer. I really appreciate it, I said. Then I hurried to catch up with Ashley. Come back if you want more water. Any time. Come back, she called out. I ran, caught up to Ashley, and held open the door for her. That was a good offer, I said. What? To work at the donut place? Yeah, we could earn money and... You can't earn anything. You're underage and on the run, and I bet you don't even have a social insurance number, do you? I shook my head. But you could work there. She laughed. If I wanted a crappy job earning minimum wage, there's 100 places I'd rather work than some stinking donut shop with Stavros hanging around. Let's just stick with this. Every time the light changed to red, we walked between the rows of cars, waving our squeegees and asking if anyone wanted their windshields washed. Some people rolled down their windows and offered us money. Others waved their arms in the air and yelled and told us not to touch their cars. Or they called us names. Most people didn't react at all. Or, I guess they reacted by trying not to react. They pretended we weren't even there. They stared straight ahead at some picture in the distance, some picture that didn't include us. It was strange. Them on the inside of their cars, us on the outside. We were separated by only a thin piece of glass, but it was like we were in different worlds, inside and outside. I'd never felt so much outside in my life. I couldn't help thinking about the time long ago when I'd been inside the car, me, my sister, and my mom. It was strange. It was less like a memory and more like some movie I'd once watched and half forgotten. I couldn't help wondering what would happen if my mother drove up right now and stopped the lights. Would she recognize me? Or would she even notice me if she stared straight ahead? When I first left home, I thought about my mother coming and looking for me. She had to know I was in the city. Where else would I go? Besides, there was a withdrawal from my bank account. They could have traced that, and she would have known for sure where I had started, even if I wasn't there anymore. If she'd really been looking, she would have found me. The city was big, but not that big. In the beginning, I felt startled every time I saw a car that looks like ours. It was amazing how many SUVs were the same make and color as my mother's. But with each passing day and each mistaken vehicle, I reacted less, until now I hardly noticed. Part of me also wondered if she even wanted to look for me. It was probably easier without me around. No calls from the school, no fighting about things, no more arguments with my stepfather about me or with me. Did she ever wonder why things turned around and why I started getting into so much trouble? I'd heard her talking to my teacher on the phone. She blamed it all on my father, him getting involved with that woman. That's what my mother called her, that woman. And then my father being transferred out to the West Coast. It was easy to blame all that on him. And he did deserve some of the blame, but not for this. A car horn blared and I jumped back to reality. Brent was screaming at me, "Get off the road, Dana!" The light had changed and the traffic was starting up again. I stood between the two rows of traffic and waited until the last car moved off before I ran over to the safety of the sidewalk. "Be more careful," Ashley warned me. "You don't want to get hit." "Don't worry about that," Brent said. "Nobody wants to mess up their shiny car by hitting you." That's reassuring. "At least we're making some good cash," Ashley said. "Yeah," Brent agreed. "So far we've made almost $40. "That's great," I said. "Do you want me to go get some clean water?" "Don't bother," he said. But this water is getting pretty dirty. Who cares? He asked. The people in the cars? They don't even expect the water to be clean. Then what do they expect? I asked. They expect us not to damage their precious cars, and they're grateful when we don't, he said. That's the real reason they give us money. That, and because they feel sorry for us, Ashley added. Enough talk. The lights are getting ready to change again, so let's get ready to... Hey, what the hell do you think you're doing? Screamed out an angry voice. I spun around. There were 5 kids, 3 boys and 2 girls, dressed all punky, marching towards us. 2 of them had buckets, and all of them were holding squeegees. This is our corner, screamed one of the boys as they advanced on us. I took a step backwards, retreating slightly behind Brent. They outnumbered us, but Brent was bigger than any of them. You better move on, one of the boys screamed, or else. Or else what? Brent demanded. Or else this. The boy, he seemed like their leader, lifted up his shirt to expose a knife sticking out of the top of his pants. A second kid did the same thing. I took another step back, still clutching the squeegee, but holding it farther in front of me for protection. A squeegee against a knife. Not a great choice. I'm real scared, Brent snapped sarcastically. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he had a knife in his hand. I turned to Ashley. She was holding a knife too. You really want to do this? Brent demanded loudly. Right out here on the street? You move or we're going to dance right here, growled the leader of the group. Brent stood there, silent, unmoving, glaring at them, glaring at him. Nobody was moving. What was going to... You want it? It's yours, Brent said, and I felt a rush of relief. We've already collected enough money for today. I backed away, and Ashley followed. Brent stood his ground for a while longer, and then began backing off too. He moved away slowly, still holding the knife in front of him, standing between them and us. Finally, feeling he was at a safe distance, Brent spun around and came after us. The gang yelled out insults. Brent turned back around and gave him the finger. Let them have the corner, Brent said, for all the good it's going to do them. Cops will be here soon. They will? I asked. Sure. We've been working the corner for almost 2 hours. Somebody's probably complained already. I'm just glad we got away, I said. I didn't know you guys carried knives. You have to protect yourself somehow, Brent said. I'll get you one. I don't want a knife, I protested. Doesn't matter if you want one or not, Ashley said. This isn't the suburbs anymore, remember? Do you think I like carrying a knife around? Brent got a confused look on his face. I thought you did like having a knife. Like isn't the right word. I just know I need one, and so do you, Ashley said, tapping me on the shoulder. It just wouldn't feel right. Would it feel better to have somebody attack you and have no way of defending yourself? Ashley asked. Of course not. You know, I can't always be around to take care of you, Brent said. And besides, sometimes I might need you to back me up, the way Ashley just did. Me back you up? I asked in astonishment. Even if I had a knife, I wouldn't know what to do with it. It's not like I'm an expert, Ashley said. I couldn't stab anybody. Nobody's asking you to do that, Brent said. Besides, you really don't know, Ashley added. Know what? Whether or not you could stab somebody. You never know, she said, her voice going all quiet. My instant reaction was to tell her I could never do that. And then I thought about it and realized that wasn't entirely true.